What's going on, everybody? In this video, what I want to do is explain to you and tell you my journey, my story of my 14 years working on self-development. And for those of you that don't know, my name is Lou. I'm a massage practitioner and I'm a personal trainer. And I've been studying self-development since 2010. So right now it's 2024. So I've been working on myself for 14 years. And I'm hoping to share this journey so it could kind of speed up the process for other people that might just be starting their journey. Or if you've been doing it as long as me, maybe give you a little bit of inspiration. Maybe we could relate to each other on what we both might have learned. So I would really love to share my journey. So growing up, I am 34 years old now, right? When I was in high school, I was really awkward, very introverted, really shy. I didn't go to prom. I didn't go to any dances, barely had any friends. Believe it or not, I didn't even go to my high school graduation. But what I did learn in high school was because I was so shy, I was so quiet, so introverted. What I did do was I was really good at observing other people. And what I noticed was how many people were kind of in a trance. And what I meant by that was everybody thought that high school was important. Everybody thought that getting good grades was important. Or there was some people that thought that, maybe being the popular person was important. And me, my shy self, I would just watch these people and observe. And I learned a lot just by observing people. But at the time, though, I had no hope. I felt like, the way I was born with my shy personality, I was always going to be this way. So when I graduated high school, I ended up moving to Florida. So I graduated high school in New Jersey. I ended up moving to Florida. And I started working out. And the reason why I started working out was the place that I moved in Florida had a fitness facility. And at the time, when I lived in Florida, I had no driver's license. And in Florida, you really need your driver's license. You really need a car because everything is drive. There's nothing that's walking distance. So around that time, I started working out because it was a fitness center. And I would work out maybe 4, 5, 6 hours a day because there was nothing else for me to do. At the time, the only other thing I was doing was watching Dragon Ball Z on YouTube. And whenever I thought about stopping the workout to go watch Dragon Ball Z, I was like, I could just do that later. But finally, I ended up getting a job. I ended up working at a public supermarket, and I realized that this wasn't it. But what I did do during that time, around at the age of 19, I was getting really in good shape, and I got really fit really fast. So I began to get a little bit social just at the supermarket because I was a bagger at Publix. So I would have to talk to the customers. I would have to offer to bring their cart to their car and put the groceries in the car. So I developed a little bit socially. But the thing that was, at the age of 19, I was terrified of women. And that was the thing I really wanted to work on. I was terrified. I was scared. And I thought that, man, either you had it or you didn't. Either, and at the time also, I thought girls were just into like tall, dark, attractive looking guys. And at that time, I just wasn't. And that's probably why I worked out so hard, because I felt like the more fit I became, the more attractive I would become, which meant girls would be attracted to me. And even though I was really fit, that never quite happened. So anyway, around that time, I decided to join the Navy. And I joined the military in 2009. And boot camp was a little bit rough for me because even though I was probably the most fit person in my division, I had no voice. So when you were supposed to be shouting orders, I didn't know how to do it, or I was just afraid to do it. So in a way, when I wouldn't shout like I was supposed to, when I wouldn't sound off, as they would call it, the drill instructors would really get on me and they would really scream at me. Now, what benefited me here was, I remember being in high school, I was very objective because I was good at observing. And I realized what the drill sergeants were doing, it was just a game for them. It was just a fun game. It wasn't real. They tried to put this pressure on you. And just like I said when I was in high school, like I saw things that wasn't important. I knew that this wasn't that important. So the way I looked at it is, even though I didn't have a voice and I couldn't sound off, when these drill sergeants would scream at me, I knew all they were going to do was make me do more push-ups. And at the time, I was so fit that it was like a plus for me to not sound off. It was a plus for me to be quiet. But anyway, I ended up graduating boot camp. Again, had no voice, and I got through just because I was super fit. And then I ended up going to my first command in Norfolk, Virginia. And while I was at my command, again, I was so socially awkward, super quiet, could barely make friends. I end up getting sent off from my command because I was so quiet. My command ended up deciding that I should go with this other command on deployment. So in January 2010, I got sent on deployment with the USS Nassau, LHA-4. And we were sent off, and we ended up breaking the record. So my first time on deployment, we did 159 straight days out at sea, which was a record. It tied for the record. And during this time, while I was deployed, I was starting to get really, really depressed, borderline suicidal. I was starting to have these crazy thoughts because I was an operations specialist, which is basically an air traffic controller. And basically all I did all day was look at this boring radar. And this is something I wasn't good at. Like, I had to stare at a radar. Most of the time I was like falling asleep at the radar, which isn't good. And during this time, I got addicted to energy drinks because I had to stay up. So during this time, the only other thing I did other than work was worked out. And as I worked out, I started to make friends at the gym. And as I was making friends, this one guy introduced me to this book, which was called The Game by Neil Strauss. Now, The Game is about a book on this man's journey on learning how to succeed with women. And at this time, that's all I cared about. 2010, like, I was like 20 years old at the time. How do I get good with women? Like, can I even get good with women? Can I even get a girlfriend? Will it ever happen for me? And while I was reading this book, I'm reading it and I'm like, holy crap, you could learn this stuff? Like, for me, it was amazing to learn that a man could actually learn to develop a personality. Like, I literally thought that I was just going to be born the way I was. So basically, this guy's journey mirrored mine to some degree because he was only 5'6". He wasn't tall. He wasn't like handsome. He had an overshaped nose, as he explained. And he was learning these tactics on going out and meeting and seducing women. And as I'm reading this book, I'm like, holy crap, when I get back from deployment, I'm going to start applying these tactics. Now, the book wasn't a how-to book. It was basically his journey. But what he did do was he recommended other books that he was reading. So what I did was, when I got back from deployment, I would go to the Barnes & Nobles. Now, this was before my time, 2010, you actually had to go to the bookstore to get books. Like, ordering on Amazon wasn't like the thing to do during this time. So I would actually have to go to the bookstore and buy these books on attracting women. But I was so shy and so scared. I was so worried about what the cashier might think about me if I bought a book on how to seduce women, that what I would do was, like, I would buy like 3 or 4 other books, and then I would put the How to Seduce a Woman book in between, hoping that the cashier would like not like see it and just glance through. And they never did. But the amount of books that I bought that I didn't need it because I was so scared of being like caught is ridiculous. I spent so much money on these extra books. So anyway, I started reading these books, and that's all I was interested in, on social dynamics, how to get better socially. I started finding books on body language. I found books on women's psychology. I found some sales books. I found books on like how to win friends and influence people. I found the book Influence. I read all of these books to learn to be just good with girls. That's all I wanted. I wanted to be better socially, make friends, find a girlfriend eventually. And so as I'm reading these books, I'm like, I'm going to approach girls. And I remember the first day I went to the mall and I said, I'm going to approach girls today. And I swear to you, I walked around for hours, and did not approach one girl. And I thought the reason why I didn't do it was because I just didn't have enough material. So what I ended up doing was I just kept buying more and more books. And so this started around 2010. And all the way up to 2012, I approached no girls. I just kept getting more and more and more, collecting more books. Then I started collecting books on spirituality. I found the book, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, read that. I started learning how to meditate. I started learning about hypnosis, and I started trying to hypnotize myself to have confidence to go approach women. And then I remember in 2012, still never approached a girl. It's been 2 years of me reading books. Now I'm at the age of 22. No girlfriend, nothing. Nothing in my military career. Mind you, I have a uniform. Girls are supposed to flock to me. Never happened, right? I remember being at the mall with a friend. And this guy, he happened to be one of the traditionally tall, dark, and handsome guys. And he used to always get girls just based off the way he looked. And usually he never approached girls. Girls would just come up to him and he would talk to them and literally like he would have a girlfriend. And I remember just being so jealous of this guy to the point where I was just like, yo, what the, like I shouldn't even be hanging out with this guy. But I remember one day we were at the mall. He was sitting across from me and I was sitting across from him here. And there was this girl walking by. And I remember she walked by and she made eye contact with me. I kind of like smirked a little bit. She smirked. And then I heard the guy go up, up. And then she just continued to walk. And then he said to me, come on, man, do I got to teach you everything? And I remember when he said that, I was so angry because one, he never approached a girl a day in his life. If a girl didn't make the first move, he never got a girlfriend. So I was so mad because he was one of those traditionally good-looking guys that I got so mad and angry that I actually got up from my chair and I took off and I started to run after the girl. Now, as I ran, I heard him say, Lou, no, it's cool. I just kept going. And as I ran up to the girl, now I'm running. The reason why I was running, because I realized if I would have walked, I probably would have chickened out. So as I'm running, I run up to her and I literally tap her on her shoulder, scare her, she jumps. And then we start talking. Mind you, I'm nervous, I'm shaky, my voice is scratchy. And within 90 seconds, I remember I got this girl's phone number. And I was like, holy crap. I did nothing. I mean, nothing that the books told me to do. I was nervous, I was scared. I felt like I needed more information. Yet I got this beautiful girl's phone number within 90 seconds. And I just spoke plainly and I just approached her. And I remember getting her number and coming back and my friend seeing me. And I just remember having this like big smile on my face. I was like, yo, I literally got this girl's phone number in 90 seconds. Like I did it. It took me 2 years to do that. It took me all of these books to read. Books like The Game, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Art of Seduction, 48 Laws of Power. All of these books, I was getting books on meditation, books on how to hypnotize people. I was reading all of these books, but never made any move. And then finally I made my first move 2 years in and I got her number. And I remember that day just thinking about it the rest of the day. And I think me and my friend, we ended up going to the movies. I couldn't even watch the movie because I was so focused on, I was like, yo, I did it. So the next day, I ended up going to a yoga class. And after the yoga class, I went to like this smoothie shop. And I remember this smoothie shop was really, really crowded. Really crowded. But I remember I saw the cashier. She kept like looking at me. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I should try to talk to her. So as she called my name for my smoothie, she gave it to me. Mind you, there's a bunch of people here. And I started to try to talk to her. I said, hey, I think you're cute, this and that. And she kind of like what? And she kind of like gave me this really, really dirty look. Like, and then eventually I was trying to talk to her and she's like, dude, I'm working. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. And I was a little bit embarrassed because everybody saw it. And then I ended up walking out, right? And as I got to the car, it hit me. I was like, that was the worst that could happen. Like literally she turned me down. And that was my first rejection. And I felt like proud of myself again because I was like, she rejected me, but nothing bad happened to me. I feel a little embarrassed. But what was even crazier to me was when I went home that night and I got home and maybe 2 hours later, I checked Facebook and I had a friend request. And I looked and it was the girl from the smoothie shop. I was like, what the hell? So I accepted her friend request. And then she messages me and she's like, hey, she's like, oh, I guess what happened was my friend, because I guess her friend said that I was cute. Her friend was like, he's cute. What's wrong with you? So what her friend ended up doing was she saw my name on my debit card or credit card that I used. So she ended up taking the girl's phone. She looked up my name and she found me on Facebook. And we started to talk there. And then she said that she was kind of shocked that I was talking to her. And that's why she came off rude. She didn't know how to react. And here we go. There was another cute girl that was talking to me. And I was like, whoa. So even though she told me no, she kind of rejected me. That's not really what she meant. She was just in an awkward position. So once that happened, it turned me into a monster. And from that day forward, I started approaching girls left and right on the street just for practice. I wasn't ever looking for a girlfriend. I just wanted to become really, really good socially. So I ended up getting out the military 6 months later, and I ended up coming to New York City, and it just turned me into an approaching monster. I ended up meeting a bunch of people, made a bunch of friends, and maybe 2 years later, I ended up becoming a personal trainer, and I ended up going to personal training school, and I ended up meeting my girlfriend. I've been with my girlfriend now for 10 years. Now, when I got with my girlfriend, I got with her in late 2014. She ended up moving in with me pretty soon after we started dating because she had problems at home. Now, I'm here with a girlfriend, somebody that I felt at the time I have to take care of. I started getting into more entrepreneurial books. I started getting into books that was about money. And I started reading books like Think and Grow Rich. I started reading more sales books. And along the journey, I'm reading all of these books. And I'm learning how to make money. Now, as a personal trainer, and I end up going to massage therapy school, I end up working at a gym called Crunch. And I end up just crushing it. And the reason why I started crushing it was because what most trainers had a problem with was approaching people on the gym floor. So now my 3 years of experience of approaching people out on the street translated when I got to the gym. So I started approaching people at the gym. And at the same time, I'm reading sales books after sales book. I even bought a $2,500 course on sales. The sales course was by Jordan Belfort, the guy from The Wolf of Wall Street. And I end up just closing deal after deal after deal. So now I'm making money. And I'm excited. Now, this is my new journey. I'm making money as a trainer. I'm coming up on close on 6 figures. I'm also a massage therapist. I'm helping people change their lives. But during this journey, I'm working about 50, 60 hours a week. Even though on the outside, I changed a lot. I developed this personality. I developed this character. I still felt empty. Even though I was making money, I had a bunch of friends. I had a huge personality. I was super charismatic. I had a beautiful, beautiful girlfriend that loved me. I still felt this emptiness. And I remember at 2019, I even did this $3,000 seminar. It was about like exploring your emotions. And like I was spending all of these money on self-development and it's exploring your emotions and all of this stuff, and nothing was working. I still felt empty. So here I am. I have the ability to spend $3,000 on a seminar, go there, learn about myself, develop myself, and I still felt so freaking empty. I just felt lost, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like, why do I feel so lost? And then I kept thinking to myself, maybe because I want more. Maybe I want to be a YouTube personality. Maybe I want to be an Instagram personality. Maybe I want to be a big public speaker. I had all of these dreams. And so I kept saying to myself, maybe if I start doing that stuff, that would make me happier. Now, this is like my 10th YouTube channel. And because I kept starting the YouTube channel and then stopping, starting the YouTube channel and stopping. And I remember I just felt so lost. I was so frustrated. I was so tired of working with clients because, you know, at the time I was working with all of these clients, but it was so many different personalities. I was taking so much energy on. Like at one point I had about 50 clients that I was working with each week. And I was getting really, really bogged down. I was getting really tired. I was drinking about 900 milligrams of caffeine every single day. And yet I'm still reading these books. And I remember towards the end of 2019, I'm starting to get really, really sick of reading these books because it kept being the same story over and over again. They were once homeless, they found the secret, and now they applied the secret, and now I'm going to teach you this secret, and now you're going to live the life of your dreams, just like I'm living the life of my dreams. And I was starting to get really, really turned off with these books, these seminars, these digital courses. And then something magical happened. 2020, And I don't know if you remember what happened in 2020. And for me, lockdown happened. It was March 16th, 2020. Both the gyms I worked at closed down. My massage clients that I worked with, they kind of like had to stop because I worked with mostly an older population. And I remember thinking to myself, what's next? I said, oh, wow, great. I have all this time on my hands. I could start working on my YouTube channel. I could start working on all of these things. And at the time, I was receiving $1,100 a week from the government because if you remember, the unemployment checks was $600 plus unemployment. So I was receiving about $1,150 a week, $4,600 a month to do nothing. And my bills was only at the time like $1,800 a month. But I remember just being in the house one day, and this is one particular day. My girlfriend at the time, she was an essential worker. I was in the house and I was doing some reflecting. And I just felt so lost. And I was literally starting to have a panic attack. And I was like, yo, I did all of this work on myself. I did 10 years of reading books, buying digital courses, going to seminars, working on myself. I learned how to approach people. I learned to have a personality. I realized that all I did was decorate the outside because I was compensating for the inside. Because on the inside, I still felt lost. At the time, too, I had money. I had enough money to last for a year without working. So I had a bunch of money saved up. I was fine. And I still felt lost. And I remember I felt like I was going to break down to cry, but I felt like I had no reason to cry. And I was like, yo, why do I feel so empty? I've been working on myself for 10 years. I still feel the same as I did when I was 20 years old. And I just sat with myself, and I really felt like giving up on this self-development journey. But what ended up happening was, of course, another book came into my hands. I ended up finding the book, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And this book really, really changed my life. It got me thinking. It got me learning how to surrender. It got me learning that it wasn't about more accumulation. It was about dissolving what you already knew. It was about letting go. From the book Untethered Soul, I got into a new book, which was Letting Go, The Pathway to Surrender by David Hawkins. And as I started to read these two books and I started to implement it in my life completely began to change. And what I realize now, since I've been working on those two books and I've been working on my own methods to letting go, it's not about accumulating more. If you're a person who's insecure, always anxious, always upset, still feeling depressed, nothing's gonna fix that until you do the inner work, which is dissolving, which is letting go, which is learning to release the baggage. In order for you to change your life, you have to release more. So this is something I truly learned over the last 4 years, was learning to stop accumulating, but dissolve, to let go, to release. And this is what I really, really worked the last 4 years. And I've gotten a whole lot better. Now, at the age of 34, I feel a whole lot more happier. I feel a whole lot more relaxed. I feel a whole lot more calm. I feel a whole lot more centered. And what I would really recommend before you read all these self-development books, or if you're tired of reading these self-development books, get the two books, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer and Letting Go, The Pathway to Surrender by David Hawkins. And read these books and learn to let go. Learn to release yourself. Learn to surrender to what is. Stop trying to make the present moment more interesting. Just become more interested in the moment. And if you do that, this is the key thing that I'm learning now, is to surrender, to listen, to be absorbed into the present moment. It's not about getting more. It's not about being. So this is something I really, really, really been working on the last 4 years. So it's just letting go, surrendering, being here, not trying to make everything perfect. Like even with this video, I know I was a little bit all over the place. And by the time I get done watching it, I might feel a little insecure about it. But it's all about letting go. It's about surrender. It's about sharing. It's not about me. It's about sharing. It's about merging to the moment. And if you're on this journey, I really, really recommend you get these two books: The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer and Letting Go, The Pathway to Surrender by David Hawkins. It could completely change your life. And I'm recommending these two books so you don't have to read all the other books. Yes, all the other books are important. Like I've read books on copywriting, on marketing, on sales. Those books are important once you do this work first. Because once you let go, once you surrender, once you release, you'll start to actually implement what you learn with those books. Because for me, it took me years. Remember, it took me 2 years to approach my first girl. And usually, even when I learned this method of approaching girls, it was always a fight. I was always having to break through a wall. And if I ever stopped approaching people, I would just lose it. I would lose my personality. But what I learned was it was just me building a character. It's kind of like if this is my house, what I was basically doing, I was a mess inside. I was just pushing the mess into a room, into a closet, and hoping nobody would ever see that. But every once in a while, the mess would come out. And what I was doing was pushing the mess into a closet door and decorating the rest of the house with nice furniture to pretend like that mess wasn't there. And that's what I was doing along my self-development journey. I was learning all of these tricks, all of these personality tricks, how to lower my voice, how to raise my voice, how to speak with certainty. It was all tricks that I was learning, but I wasn't getting to the root. I wasn't truly fixing myself. I wasn't truly healing myself. So if you're on this self-development journey, I would really, really recommend getting those two books: The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer and Letting Go, The Pathway to Surrender by David Hawkins. It could completely change your life, and it could literally speed track your way to getting what you truly want, which is essentially a feeling of happiness, a feeling of contentment, a feeling of feeling like you're enough. So I really recommend those books. And that was my journey. That was my 14-year journey on self-development. I literally probably could have sped it up just by reading those two books. I really hope you get those books. I hope you enjoyed my story. If you like my journey, of course, please like the video. Please comment in the comment section below what you think. I do realize I was a little bit all over the place and it was a little bit raw, but let me know. And if you haven't already, please subscribe now. Peace.